Hello students, welcome to the solid state physics class unit 1 which comes under paper 6A of your 5th semester. I am N. Chandana, assistant professor of physics from Government Degree College, Khairtabad. Let us have a quick recap on the previous class. So we have done the Bragg's X-ray spectrometer in which we have seen that X-rays undergo diffraction through crystals. Since X-rays wavelength is of approximately equal to 1.1 angstrom, and hence the separation between any two consecutive or successive atoms in a crystal plane is approximately 1 angstrom. Hence, easily the X-rays will get diffracted through these crystal planes. Okay, this we have seen in our last class, and the designing of Bragg's X-ray spectrometer and analyzing the spectrum also we have seen. And one more example I have given, that is for KCl, potassium chloride crystal structure. It comes to be simple cubic. We have done this. We have obtained D1 is to D2 is to D3 based on 2D sin theta is equal to n lambda. Using that, we have calculated the crystal structure. And also, the link between, like using Bragg's law, we can determine the unknown crystal structure, what type of structure we are talking about the crystal which we have synthesized. We can easily understand the structure of the crystal we have synthesized, and also we can relate Bragg's law such that we can obtain the X-ray wavelength, the wavelength of the X-rays that we are talking about. Okay, we can understand the physical properties of X-rays, like different characteristics of X-rays. Okay, students. So now let me go for today's topic on crystallography by Ley method. Let me share you whiteboard. Okay. Now let us see Ley method. So what is crystallography first? Crystallography. What is crystallography? What is this crystallography? That is finding out the type of crystal structure by passing X-rays to the crystal. By diffracting X-rays through the crystal, any thin crystal, you can observe the diffracted pattern here on the photographic plate you have. By understanding the photographic plate spectrum, the spectrum obtained on the photographic plate, you can understand this crystal structure, how the atoms are placed, and what is the minimum first neighbor distance, second neighbor distance, and how they are aligned in what planes. You can easily understand by this crystallography. That entire theory is called crystallography. Okay. Now we have two methods in your syllabus. So coming to crystallography by, you have crystallography by, one is Ley method, the other one is powder method. So students, both are very important for your examination. You have to understand deeply what is Ley method and what is powder method. Let us see first Ley method. What is Ley method? Ley method. You know, Ley has given you the theory, and he has been awarded Nobel Prize 1914 because of the theory that X-rays are electromagnetic waves, and crystals and X-rays undergo diffraction with the crystals. So in 1914 he has been awarded, and the pattern obtained by Ley is called Ley pattern. We have seen that in the previous class. Now what is crystallography by Ley method? What is the experimental arrangement? Let me talk about experimental arrangement. How do experiment? Same as what we have talked in first. Where is this? Okay. See, I'll have X-rays coming out of a source here. X-ray source. Now I have lead diaphragms. Lead diaphragms, because they are made up of lead. Because why they are made up of lead? Because lead is a perfect absorber. Like what all the X-rays which are coming in this direction and in this direction, they'll get absorbed here, and only the narrow beam of X-rays are obtained when passing through this diaphragm. Now this one is allowed to these X-rays are allowed to, sorry. Now these X-rays are allowed to pass through what? A crystal, for which we are going to study the properties of this crystal, like what is the crystal structure. So if I take a crystal here, whether it is ZnS or NaCl, I take crystal is placed here. Now the X-rays gets diffracted here. X-rays get diffracted. Now the diffracted pattern of X-rays is obtained on the photographic plate here. This is hit the photographic plate. Now this is a photographic plate. Okay. Now after this, I'll have a photographic plate here. I'll observe the center atom, center spot is bright. I will have spots, concentric bright spots surrounding the central bright spot here. What happens? Why these are formed? Because we have studied due to Bragg's law, diffraction, the maximum intensity is possible only when the path difference between the two rays 2d sin theta reflected diffracted rays is 2d sin theta is equal to n lambda. Whenever this condition is satisfied, all the different angles we get different bright spots. Those are maximum intensity spots. Okay, because of maximum intensity. This is the pattern. This is called lay pattern, which is obtained on the photographic plate. Okay. Now let us understand the theory behind this lay pattern. Okay, students, let us understand the theory behind this lay pattern. First, we have to write that X-rays from a X-ray tube are obtained and they are made to pass through lead diaphragms or lead slits S1 and S2 so that the X-ray beam will become narrow, very much narrow, like a pencil of beam, and now allow the pencil of beam to fall on a crystal, single crystal, which you are going to study the properties of the single crystal. Then this diffracted beam of X-rays are allowed to pass through the, are allowed to fall on a photographic plate, where the on the photographic plate we can study the structure of the crystal. Okay. Now why? Now these X-rays will penetrate the crystal and scattered from different atomic diffraction centers, right? Because at different places we have different crystals. So from that, the different centers of atoms. So at each of the point they get reflected and the diffracted beam is observed on the photographic plate. Okay. But the law, what is the law? It has to be satisfied. That is Bragg's law, 2d sin theta is equal to n lambda. You already know this. Okay. The symmetrical pattern obtained on the photographic plate is called lay pattern. I already discussed about you. Okay. Each spot is corresponding to one maxima. That is maximum intensity, which is corresponding to 2d sin theta is equal to n lambda. Okay. Now, what is the theory behind this? So, experimental arrangement you have to write down. X-rays from X-ray tube is made to pass through a two-lead diaphragm so that a narrow pencil of beam is obtained, and this pencil of beam is allowed to diffract through the crystal, which you are going to study the properties. Now, the diffracted radiation, X-rays are made to fall on a photographic plate. This diffraction pattern is in the form of lay pattern, which are concentric intensity bright spots about a central bright spot. This is called lay pattern, which is observed on a photographic plate. Okay, till now, and these intensity points, each point corresponds to corresponding to a single wavelength of which satisfies the Bragg's condition. Path difference is equal to n lambda. That is 2d sin theta equal to n lambda, which corresponds to the maximum. Okay, till now you are clear. This is first paragraph you have to write down. That is about experimental arrangement. Okay, and this diagram you have to draw. So next, let me discuss the theory. So what is the theory behind this? Imagine a line grating of one-dimensional lattice. Now let me take a one-dimensional lattice. In Bragg's law, we have observed three-dimensional lattice. Okay, now imagine a one-dimensional lattice. That is a single array of atoms here, which are situated and which are separated by a distance d. Okay, students. Now, what each consecutive distance is d. It is separated from distance. Each of the atom is separated by a distance d. Now let me have a X-rays. Okay. Now let A be the lattice constant here. They are taking as A is the lattice constant. Let me take A is the lattice constant. Not D here. Let me take A is the lattice constant. Now, suppose now I take monochromatic X-rays are made to fall on this one-dimensional atomic lattice. Okay. Now, what happens at this point of thing? It gets diffracted in this way, the other beam in this way. Okay. Now, let me just think that the angle with which it's getting diffracted is the second ray is theta. And while my glancing angle is here, theta naught. Here my point is A. This is B. These are the diffraction centers of two atoms. Okay. Now I'll draw perpendicular onto this beam. Okay. Ray, now let it be M. And let me write this way. Let it be N. Okay. This is M and this is N. Okay. Now let me derive the simple theoretical equation. Now we know that but the path difference between two diffracted rays should be equal to n lambda. That is the condition for maxima intensity points which we are observing as a lay pattern on the photographic plate. So let me calculate the path difference between these two diffracted rays. That would be what, students? Here till here both are same, but here this is the path difference, that is Bm. Okay, Bm is the path difference between these two rays here. And here what is the path difference between them? An. From here both are same. So An is the path difference here and Bm is the path difference. So what is the path difference between the two diffracted rays? An minus Bm. An minus Bm. Okay. So An minus Bm should be equal to N1 lambda. If I am considering that it is first order, that is N1 lambda. Okay. The diffracted rays with maximum intensity is N lambda. Minimum intensity is 2n plus 1 into lambda by 2. And path difference equals that. But we are observing only bright spots on the photographic plate. So I want to get the condition for maxima, that is bright spot. That is An minus Bm is equal to N1 lambda. Okay. But from this figure, we can say that what do we can say? An is equal to, we have to calculate An is equal to AB cos theta. See here, this is theta, right? So this is also theta. Okay. What is An? I want An. So An by AB equal to cos theta. See here, from this cos theta is equal to adjacent side by hypotenuse, An by AB. So what is An? Equal to AB cos theta. What is AB as we supposed? It may be D. Okay. Or else here we are considering it as A. As your textbook, how they are following, I am also using the same. I thought I can put D, but they are using A. So let me use A. So A cos theta. So An equal to A cos theta. Similarly, I want to calculate Bm. What is Bm here again? To calculate Bm. Okay. So this is theta naught. So Bm is how do I get cos theta naught equal to Bm by AB? Bm by AB equal to cos theta naught implies Bm equal to AB cos theta naught implies Bm equal to A cos theta naught. Okay, students, A cos theta naught. So Bm I got, An I got. Now I will calculate An minus Bm. What is that? A into cos theta minus cos theta naught equal to N1 lambda. Okay. We know that it is usual, no? That cos theta and cos theta naught always, you know, they are directional cosines. If you remember, they are directional cosines. So I can term them as directly, I can take some small angle as alpha here and I can determine by small angle alpha naught as directional cosines of incident X-rays. These are incident X-rays coming out, right? Now I can imagine that. So I'll write here alpha minus alpha naught equal to N1 lambda. Okay, this is only for one dimensional array of atoms I am considering. If I consider 3 dimensions, I can calculate A into beta minus beta naught equal to N2 lambda in y direction. This is in X, this is in Y. I can calculate A into gamma minus gamma naught equal to N3 lambda. This comes under Z direction, right? So I have X, Y and Z directions. It is A into alpha minus alpha naught, A into beta minus beta naught and A into gamma minus gamma naught. Where N1, N2, N3 are integers, right? Right, students? N1, N2, N3 are integers. So these three equations are called as Ley equations. Ley equations. These three equations are termed as Ley equations. Okay, you should remember, students, here N1, N2, N3 are different. These are here order numbers for three different diffracted rays order numbers. These are okay. These are different from Bragg's relation N1, N2, N3. You have to remember that. Okay, A into lambda minus lambda alpha minus alpha not equal to N1 lambda, A into beta minus beta not equal to N2 lambda, and A into gamma minus gamma not equal to N3 lambda. Okay, so now you are understood. Now you have understood everything. Like you are perfect now in Ley method. Now this is the theory which you have to derive in your examination. So hope you understood now. Okay, students. Now let me go for Bragg's spectrometer under crystallography by powder method. Okay. Now let me go for crystallography by powder method. So what is powder method? Let me draw again the diagram which is related to powder. You know, the Bragg's X-ray spectrometer is used to diffract X-rays by single crystal, as we have studied in Ley method. Okay, which is always free from distortion. We feel that the single crystal is grown without any distortion, that is without any air gap. The crystal is very much clear. Okay, that doesn't have any defects in it. No distortion is available. But when we consider different materials, like some metals have some distortion, some alloys, they have some spaces in between when they are combined with some other elements. There will be some, in structure, there will be some spaces formed between the crystal lattice. Okay, those are called, when we take powder also, we have some distortion in between the alignment of the crystal lattice. Okay, so then we have to go for some other method. Okay, so when we have microcrystalline materials, when you have powder microcrystalline materials, not a single crystal material, we use this method. What is that? Powder method, to analyze the microcrystalline format, the crystals which are formed. The structure of the crystals can be determined by using this X-rays diffraction by powder method. X-ray diffraction by powder method. X-ray diffraction by Ley method is only good for single crystal structures. For powder method, we have to opt for microcrystallines and all the small crystals where they are available in powder method, which can have some distortions. Then we go for powder method. Okay, students. So in powder method, what we have to understand, let me tell you. Okay, it gives you the distortion, it gives the orientation of crystals, it gives the size of the crystals also in this. Because in powder means we have multiple number of crystals joined here. So we have many crystals, one in this direction, so many crystals are there here. In this way, if I take, which are oriented in different directions. Now I can give the size of the crystal by using this powder method. So how can I give? Okay. Now let me give the experimental arrangement as we have studied in the Ley method. X-rays are coming from X-ray tube. Now I have a filter here to filter our X-rays, because I want a monochromatic wavelength of X-rays. This filter is used to give monochromatic X-rays. Now I have S1 and S2. What are they? They are again the lead diaphragms or slits we have. Now the rays will come and fall on a single crystal in case of Ley method, but here I have a specimen here. See, is the specimen where this is a small glass tube, specimen tube. This is filled with the powder here. This is powder. Okay. Now what happens is, now the diffraction beam now will be having continuous diffraction beam. We can observe on a diaphragm here. This is a circular diaphragm where we'll observe here a spot here, this intensity spot. Okay. And here you have 2 theta. Okay. Now here you have 2 theta, where theta is the glancing angle and now 2 theta. This is the photographic film which we are considering. As we have photographic plate in our, this is a drum here. See here, this is a drum photographic plate which is in the shape of arch, small arch, semicircular arch, on which our projection will fall out. Diffracted projected X-rays will fall onto the photographic film, and we observe the pattern here. Okay, based on the pattern, we can analyze the structure of our crystal. Okay, now X-rays are coming from the X-ray tube, which are made to pass through filter F, so that it will give you only single wavelength lambda. Other wavelengths are filtered by this filter F. Now this will be allowed to pass through source slits S1 and S2, which are made of lead material, and then the obtained X-ray beam is made to fall on a specimen C, which consists of our powder, our microcrystalline powder here filled with the powder. The diffracted X-rays are made to fall on our photographic film, which is in the form of circular arch. Okay. Now, this is a drum-shaped film, or else I can take it as a circular film arc, drum-shaped one. In inner circumference, I will be able to see the diffracted beam. What is the principle involved and what is the theory? Let me tell you. See, in powder technique, we can say that millions of crystals are there here, right? Millions of crystals are there in my C. This is the specimen. I fill this tube with my powder, my crystalline powder. Okay. Now I want to study the structure of these crystals. Now these millions of crystals are arranged. Now only when these X-rays fall on these crystals, only few at some angle theta, only those crystals which are oriented in such a direction that the condition Bragg's law 2d sin theta is equal to n lambda is satisfied. 2d sin theta is equal to n lambda is satisfied. That is Bragg's law is satisfied. Such type of rays are projected at one point. Okay, and they are framed to be a continuous line of continuous circular pattern is observed on the photographic film. See, I'll draw here how it is observed. See, I'll get it in this way. Okay, I'll draw here. Exactly, it is increasing while going. You can draw in this way. Okay, see here, when you observe here, the center, from center, two equidistant on the either side, you are observing the lines here in this way. It's like a circle. If you complete this, it would be a circle. But our plate is in the form of a drum, right? In this way, that is semicircular arch. That is the reason we are observing only this pattern. But it is forming the diffracted beam. It's like a cone. A cone is forming on the cone of maximum intensity. That forms a cone here. One. This is the one, and the other one is this side. So the same. This is at some other glancing angle. This is some other glancing angle. In this way, we observe the concentric circular rings on the photographic film. This is a photographic film here. This film only, this one. I'll observe the concentric circular rings here. Now the radius of these rings recorded on the film is used to find the, I told you, this radius from the center is used to find out the glancing angle theta. Okay. Now the curvature of arcs reverse when the angle of diffraction exceeds 90 degrees. I told you, this is one. This one, after exceeding theta, when exceeds the angle of diffraction glancing angle exceeds greater than 90, that is obtuse, then I get the reverse rings. The rings are in reverse direction. See here. These are in this way, here towards the center, and these are away from the center, that is outward. Once it exceeds the glancing angle, exceeds 90 degrees, that is obtuse angle, we get this picture. Now, if I consider that this is L1, okay, and this is L2, and this is L3. Now what happens? Now I can write the condition from the photographic fluid, from the stretched photograph on D, and the diameter of the cylindrical film if I take, then what happens? L1 by pi D equal to 4 theta 1 by 3600. Okay, or else I can write in terms of degrees. I'll write in terms of degrees. This would be easy for you to understand. Pi D into L1. Okay, what is this pi D? This is D is the diameter of the cylindrical film. This is the diameter of the cylindrical film. Entire cylindrical film is the diameter here, D. So you know that 90 by pi R, diameter of the cylindrical film. That is pi D. Like pi into 2R, that is pi D. Diameter, no? If it is radius, 2 pi R. But here I am writing it as perimeter, 2 pi R. But here pi into 2R is nothing but D. 2 into R is D. So pi D. This is perimeter for 90 degrees is equal to theta 1 because L is equal to R theta. Similarly, 2 pi R into theta is equal to L1 into 90 degrees. Okay. Similarly, theta 2 is equal to 90 degrees by pi D into L2. This is 2 pi R into theta equal to L2 into 90 degrees. Similarly, pi 3, theta 3 is equal to 90 degrees by pi D into L3. Using these values, we can find out the values of theta 1 you can obtain, theta 2 you can obtain, theta 3 you can obtain by this formula. Okay. So by this we can determine the theta. Similarly, D also can be calculated. D is the interplanar spacing. If you consider D, you can calculate now 2D sin theta is equal to N lambda. You know lambda, you know N. You can put theta value. So you can get D value. So by knowing theta, you can calculate D. In this way, we can calculate, okay? By using these equations, L1 by pi D into 90 degrees equal to theta 1. Okay, this is 2 pi R into theta 1 equal to 90 degrees into L1. Okay, L equal to R theta. You remember this. So from this, you can write this formula. Okay, all of you. So this is the way we can determine theta. And from that, you can write down 2D sin theta 1 is equal to N lambda. So you can obtain theta D by using value of theta 1 here. Okay, students. So this is the way we can determine the structure of the crystal using powder method. So now we have done with powder method and lay method. Okay. Now we shall see some 2 problems on powder, some on diffraction, X-ray diffraction. Let me give you some 2 problems on crystal structures and 1 problem in X-ray diffraction. Let me give you 1 problem. Okay. Some problems we'll do. See, we know that what is calculation of lattice constant? They'll ask you what is lattice constant A. When given, they will give you the values. We know the lattice constant A is given by Nm by rho n whole power 1 by 3. Nm by rho n whole power 1 by 3. You know that, right? We have derived it in your previous classes. Okay. What is n molecules or n atoms and lattice points per unit cell? Okay, m is the molecular weight of the element and rho is the density. Okay, n is the Avogadro number. From this we can easily calculate the lattice constant A. Now a substance with face-centered cubic lattice, given a substance with face-centered cubic lattice have density. Density means rho they have given 6250 kg per meter cube, because this is density is equal to mass by volume kg by meter cube. And molecular weight is also given, that is 60.2. Now calculate the lattice constant A. Given Avogadro's number, you know Avogadro's number, you need not tell. 6.023 into 10 power 26 kg mole whole inverse, or 1 by kg mole per kg mole. If it is for gram, 6.2023 into 10 power 23 you will get. Okay. Now you know m, you know n, you know rho, And you should know n, because for face centered cubic lattice n is 1 plus 3, that is 4, right? 1 is corner atom because of the 1 by 8 into 8 corner atom lattice point because of the corner atoms, and 3 because of the face centered atoms. So 1 plus 3 is 4, n is 4. Total number of lattice points per unit cell is 4. Now A is equal to 4 into what is M? 60.2 by what is rho? 6250 into what is N? 6.02 into 10 power 26, right? Whole power 1 by 3. Okay. Now what I'll get now? Implies that is equal to 4 into 6.02. No, this is 60.2. So I'll remove this 0. I'll remove this entirely. 60.2 into 10 power 25. Okay, remove this 0 into 10 power minus 1. So 602 gets cancelled. And 10 power 25. So if it comes up, it will become 10 power minus 26. Okay, now 3 8's 24. So I'll make a 0 here. 0 0 0 again. So 27 9's, right? So 10 power minus 27 I'll get. Now 4 by 625. So approximately I'll get 4 into 10 power minus 10 meter. It is 4 angstrom, because 10 power minus 10 meter is 1 angstrom. Okay, this is a lattice constant. Okay, see, this is in the order of angstrom. Okay, now in this way we can calculate lattice constant when given density and number of atoms per unit cell. You have to know, because based on the structure, crystal structure, whether face centered or body centered, you have to know. That's the reason I asked you to study. Okay, now let me do one more problem for you. Calculate the D, interplanar spacing D. Okay, for a crystal, simple cubic crystal lattice of plane 3, 2, 1. Okay, where A is given as, lattice constant is given as 4 into 10 power minus 10 meter. Lattice constant is A given. D we have to calculate interplanar spacing, and they have given the plane. Now how do you calculate? You know the formula, right? I have derived you for this before. H square plus K square plus L square for simple cubic lattice, A square whole power half. Okay. Okay. And minus half. Okay. Now what I'll get? Equal to A by root H square plus K square plus L square, right? A by root H square plus K square. Now what I'll get? 4 into 10 power minus 10 by root over H square plus K square plus L square. 9 plus 4 plus 1. That is 4 into 10 power minus 10 by root 9, 10, 14. Okay. Finally, I'll get a approximately equal to 1.1 into 10 power minus 10 meter. This is 1.1 angstrom. This is D, interplanar spacing between any two planes of 3 to 1, 3 to 1, 3 to 1. What is the interplanar spacing? D is 3 to 1 is 1.1 angstroms. Okay. And between any two, what is the lattice parameter? A, that is axial length. A is 4 into 10 power minus 10 meter. Okay, students. So these are the two problems which I want to discuss with you in your class. Okay. Let me give you one more problem. Let me solve one more problem for you. Calculate the calculate the interplanar spacing again D for NaCl crystal when they have given you theta, glancing angle theta, that is 10 degrees they have given you, and X-rays wavelength they have given you to be 0.97. angstroms. Okay, 0.97 angstroms. So X-rays wavelength they have given you lambda. This is theta, and you want to calculate d. Okay, you know now simply Bragg's law. 2d sine theta equal to n lambda. Okay, 2d. What is sine 10 degrees? We have to calculate sine 10 degrees equal to n into what is lambda? 0.97 angstroms. Okay, for NaCl crystal. Okay, now what is lambda? What is d? This one by sine 10 into this one. Okay, sine 10 is 0.17. This is 0.17. I can substitute here. Finally, I'll get d as 2.8 into 10 power minus 10 meter or 2.8 angstroms. By using Bragg's law, 2d sine theta is equal to n lambda, you can calculate. In reverse also you can calculate. They'll ask you what is the wavelength of X-rays when given the d and given lambda. Okay. So till now we have discussed all these topics, students. So let me stop screen sharing. Okay. Now what is the summary? Crystallography by Ley method I have done. Crystallography by powder method we have done. For microcrystals which are in powder form or else with some metals which are in distortion, which are having high distortion, we can use this powder method. But for single crystals we use Ley method. Okay. Both are very important for your examination purpose. And now problems on the concepts learned, we have done 3 problems here. Okay. Similarly, in your revision class, I'll do some more problems for you. Okay, students. Thank you so much for your patient listening and all the best for your exams. Okay. Go through entire notes and write down your notes, and what all the doubts you have, you can ask me in the class. Thank you so much. Take care.